Welcome to Wildflower, from Wildflower, Rooted and Reckless, the podcast where writer and storyteller Angela Walker creates space to bloom in the wildest places, sharing stories of grit, grace, and growth.
I just want to give a quick trigger warning for domestic violence in this episode and some adult subject material or topics that'll be talked about. Welcome back to Wildflower from the Wildflower Rooted and Reckless podcast. I am Angela Walker. So last week we closed a chapter and this week we're opening a new one. We're going to move into a new era of life, probably my least favorite chapter of my book so far. And I would say probably the one I've blocked out the most. Only one good thing came from it, and that is my daughter. It was a hell of a price to pay, but I'd pay it 1,000 times over for her. Telling Cody's story is easy. Now I'm starting to really tell mine, and that's where it's going to get hard. A couple of my friends owned a bar and I would occasionally go over and hang out. I wasn't 21 yet. I never pushed the envelope and was drinking or, wanted to get them in any kind of trouble. So it was just a place to hang out, kind of unwind and play like the little electronic games that they had where you had to figure out what's different in these pictures, like what doesn't match. So oftentimes I would put Cody to bed and I would slip over to the Oasis because I had friends in low places and I got really good at darts and pretty good at pool, was really good at the electronic game. So one night there was a guy there. We kind of had gotten to chatting and we really just hit it off, to be honest with you. We hit it off. We were having fun. We were playing the electronic game. And then our friends, turned out he also was friends with them, ended up telling us that they were actually like setting him up with another mutual friend. And he was not super thrilled about it. They just didn't mesh well, according to him. Like he just wasn't feeling it with her. And we were hitting it off. So at the end of the night, he slipped me a cigarette and around the butt was his phone number. Okay. I mean, this is slick stuff here, right? And so we went our separate ways. I just drove across the street to the gas station, called the phone number. We talked. I went over to his place because, well, at that time in my life, the best way to get over someone was to get under someone else. So I thought, what's one night, right? Like, what is one night? So I went over there. We hung out and Netflix and chilled. They didn't have Netflix then. Did they have Netflix then? Redboxed and chilled. And that was that. I went home and I was always home before anybody woke up in the morning. And later that day, he ended up reaching out to me and we started talking. And nobody knew we were talking, but we just kind of started talking. We went to our friends and we were honest with them. And we said, listen, we really hit it off. He was honest and said, I just wasn't feeling it with her. And we were going to date. Like we were dating at that point. And that is like the streamlined, clean version of everything. It definitely got muddy and dirty and difficult and uncomfortable. Not my proudest moment by any means. That person was my friend too. And probably should have been a sign. Talk about taking one for a team. Or karma, I guess. So we moved way too fast. I fell hook, line, and sinker. He seemed like a really good guy. He had friends. He had a job. He was older than me. He was like 8 years older than me. He had a daughter that lived in another state. He didn't get to see her. He didn't have any kind of custody of her as far as I knew, but he did have phone conversations with her. And it was my understanding that mom was crazy and wouldn't let him have a relationship with her and things like that. So, from everything I could tell, there were no real red flags at first. It was very guy meets girl, and he's a nice guy. He had a family. They were supportive for all intensive purposes. And yeah, he had a job, he had a vehicle, he had a place, he had a personality. He worked during the week, and we would hang out on the weekends. And during the week, I went to work and took care of Cody and went to his appointments and therapies and things. And it was just kind of normal dating. He knew I was a single mom, and when I started bringing Cody around, he loved Cody. He was great with him. His family loved Cody. They just embraced his story, and it was good. It was really good. And then somewhere very quickly along the line, I started spending the night at his place. He had like a little 2-bedroom, they called it like a doll house, basically like a guest house, if you will, that he rented from family. His cousin had 1 bedroom. He had the other bedroom. And his cousin pretty quickly went ahead and moved out. And Cody essentially had the 2nd bedroom. And I moved in. I mean, never officially, but it just happened. So Cody's dad and I split up in like April, and numero dos. I don't know what I'm supposed to call him. Number 2. Baby daddy numero dos. Baby daddy number 2. Well, we started like hanging out and talking in May. It was really close. He did a couple of things. He did satellites for like Dish TV. He also did security cameras at hotels. And this was a business that his family was into. And so he was like an installer, right? Like a tech. He was an installer for this stuff. But they needed help sometimes when it came to like programming for the cameras and things like that. And so they started taking me along on these jobs. That's something that I'm really good at. I'm super computer literate, and I love technology. And so just in case I didn't say that clear, I'm super computer literate. I love technology. And yeah, they started taking me with them, and I started programming their cameras and just started helping out in other areas. And somehow, I mean, it wasn't very hard, I'm sure. It seemed like a good idea for me to leave my job where I had a full-time job, and I was able to bring Cody with me and basically be like a stay-at-home mom and assistant to him and his family's business. And essentially in exchange for, I guess, room and board and utilities, if you will. And so I did that. I went all in. I mean, I was so blind and so in love. I was really taken by the fact that they were so accepting of Cody. I really struggled with the idea that I was a single mom of a special needs child, and that nobody was going to voluntarily undertake us. Nobody was just going to voluntarily be like, oh, cool, single mom, and he has special needs. Yeah, sign me up. I'm in, you know? So my self-esteem was so low. My self-worth was just in the negative for sure. Like, he had already won me over for the fact that he was willing to date me and was so kind to Cody and his family as well. They genuinely loved him. And I remember one time Cody was gifted like a little Power Wheels, and he couldn't quite hit the pedals, which was probably for the best, but they got together and figured out like how to alter it so that he could drive it. And yes, it did end up with basically a whole bunch of adults running as fast as we could after it to catch it. Lesson learned, steering's involved. That's a thing. But it was things like this that just drew me in and drew me closer and just continued to just put these veils or cloaking of red flags in front of me. I just didn't see them. I did, but I just turned a blind eye. I didn't want to see them. I started to notice that he drank a lot. Like he drank more than anybody else I really knew, I guess. And it was one day I was walking around the house and I stepped into a hole, except for it wasn't like a hole where your foot goes all the way down. My foot just stopped. And in the hole were empty vodka bottles. And I was so weirded out. I couldn't actually wrap my mind around why there would be this hole of empty vodka bottles. Like, why would anybody need to store them like that? Alcoholism was not even an option to have thought about. So I grabbed a couple of them and I went to him and I was like, hey, like I just found these in your yard. It's so weird. And he started like crying. He basically said that he understood if I ran, that most people run from him, that he struggled with alcohol and drinking too much, and that he was essentially a recovering alcoholic. And he reassured me that what I had found was old. That wasn't a current thing. That was like an old thing, and that he can balance life now, right? Like he can have a few drinks and have a life. Like he doesn't hide vodka bottles in holes anymore. That was an old thing that I just happened to stumble upon. And I bought it. I felt so bad for him. He had like this whole sob story, and he was really good at saying stuff like, my name is Angela. And so, I was his angel sent by God, and he prayed for me. And I lapped it up like a thirsty dog. It's in retrospect embarrassing. It's ridiculous. I lapped it up like a thirsty dog. And he just knew what to say to make me feel good. He just knew how to word things. He knew which strings to strum. And I did. I fell hook, line, and sinker. And I reassured him. And I was like, it's okay. And you just need somebody to come alongside you. And I got your back, buddy. And we can do this together. And all those things that we all think. But anyway, July was my birthday. Just a few months had gone by that we were dating, but we were fully involved. I mean, we might as well have been married, setting up shop, playing house, doing all the things, you know. So from that night that I questioned him about the bottles that were found in the hole, he essentially said that he was going to back off drinking. And while he thought that he had it managed and under control, he knew that he probably needed a little space from it. And so he did. He did. So my birthday snuck up. It was my 21st birthday. And of course we went out for it. And of course we got absolutely smashed. And the next day I had wanted to get a tattoo for my birthday. So we drove about an hour and a half or so away to a tattoo shop with a guy I was familiar with. We went in and he was just a totally different person. He was really like agitated. He was asking weird questions and acting as if the tattoo artist didn't know what he was doing, or like he hadn't been in business for several years and didn't have a good reputation. He ended up, there was enough tension that I believe he could tell. And he's like, I'm just going to go hang out in the truck and listen to music. His brother was with us. We're going to hang out in the truck and listen to music while you get your tattoo done. Like, there's no sense in us sitting here. Okay, great. No problem. So it wasn't a very big piece or anything like that. It was pretty quick to do. And I came out. He seemed in a much better mood, jolly, happy-go-lucky, opened the truck door for me, loved my tattoo, thought it came out so good. Everything was good. Everything was well. We start heading home, driving down the road, and as we're going down the interstate, I realize that he is about to miss the exit. This town that we're coming from, it's a weird exit situation, and so he's about to miss this exit. So I say to him, like, hey, you're about to pass the exit. And whop, he just slaps me across the face, like backhands me across the face. I am shook. I am in shock. I didn't react. I just sort of grabbed my face and looked at him like, what the heck? He immediately apologized. I don't even remember the words he said. It was just like a episode of Charlie Brown where it's just blomp, 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 blomp. Like, I have no idea what words were being said. Nothing like this had ever happened to me before. I just didn't, I was beside myself. About the time he was finishing his half-ass apology, his brother hands him up a beer and he slams it. And when I say he slams it, I mean like one gulp and it's gone. About this time, I realize his eye is drooping, his hand is being held weird, like these mannerisms. I didn't know it at the time. Later on, I kind of figured things out, but these mannerisms that like he's been drinking and he's driving and we still got a ways to go. He stops at a gas station. And I said I had to use the restroom. So I go inside and I call 911. And I tell him what's going on. I give him the license plate number, like the truck, the description, the whole 9 yards. So I come out of the bathroom and we go to get back in the truck. And I'm like, hey, why don't I drive so you guys can like hang out and listen to music and stuff? I really don't mind. And he is not having it, like as if I called him every name in the book, including a terrible driver. So we get back in the truck and start down the highway. And I'm thinking, surely we're going to get pulled over. Like, obviously, the highway patrol are looking for us. Obviously, they're sending the troops. Somebody's going to find us and everything's going to be okay. When I tell you we passed no less than 3 highway patrol cars, I'm not lying. Not one stopped us. Not one looked like they were looking for anything. And they're just progressively getting drunker and drunker as we go. We finally got off the exit, our exit, to go home. And he stops at the grocery store. And we go in. And again, I said, I have to use the restroom. And so I went into the bathroom. And I called 911 again. And I said, I called you guys and this is what's going on and nobody's helping me and we've passed all these highway patrol cars and it doesn't seem like anybody's even looking for us. And here's the make and model of the vehicle. Here's where we are. This is where we're heading. Okay. Like I just, all of the things. So I come out and he is waiting for me outside of the bathroom. We're walking out to the truck and he says to me, why don't you go ahead and drive the rest of the way home? You can drive home. We're like 7 minutes from the house at this point. I'm like, okay, go figure, right? Sure, I'll drive home. Mind you, this whole ride, he's just verbally, I want to say like verbally assaulting me, but not outright. In the most underhanded way. He's not like saying anything mean to me, but he's insinuating things and belittling me, not berating, but belittling me. So I get in the truck and I start driving. And as we're going down the road, I see a police officer sitting to the side. And at this point, I am so disappointed. I am like, they don't care. Nobody cares. Like, there's nobody to help me. And just to really see if it's true, I swerve. So this is two-way traffic, no median. I swerve in front of the officer, very obviously, into the oncoming lane and back, like, oh gosh, oops, my bad, kind of a thing. Of course, he's not happy about it, but like, I just have to see what's going on here. I don't understand. And I didn't get pulled over. Not even, nothing. Absolutely nothing. So we get to the house. At this point, it has erupted into a full-on argument. It is not good. I grabbed my stuff. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of stuff there, but I grabbed what I did have there. I picked it all up and Cody's stuff, and that's it. Like, you're not going to slap me across the face. It wasn't okay. It's never okay. There's no excuse for it. And I tucked tail to a hotel room for the night. I just needed to get away. I had picked up Cody. We went to the hotel room for the night. I phoned a friend, talked to him about everything. The next morning, a guy was right in my phone log, calling, apologizing, texting. He wanted to talk. He was sorry. Obviously, there's still some of my stuff at his house. Please just come home. All the things. And by evening, I gave in. And I went back to the house. And he had this whole sob story of his childhood and his parents' divorce and his dad and his dad's drinking, and his mom was a judge. His stepdad was the police. He had a terrible childhood. He was in California and people picked on him, and just all these sob stories, all this excuses. You know, at the time I felt bad for him. I felt terrible for him. I had fantastic parents, great childhood. I mean, yeah, I got picked on and bullied, but I had supportive parents to hug me at the end of the day. And I just thought, if I loved him enough, if I loved him hard enough, if I showed him he was worthy of love, if I showed him what unconditional love was, it would conquer all, right? Like, it would just bring him out of this need to feel better through drinking, because he would just feel so loved. And so I went back. And of course, he promised to quit drinking. And I think we started going to church about that time. I was already going to church. I think he started going with me. Looking back, I see so many movements of manipulation that I thought were obviously sincere gestures. And maybe some of them were. And I'm sure there was some part of him who wanted normalcy and wanted a family and a good life. But gosh, I have a hard time swallowing that sometimes. In retrospect, it looks so calculated and conniving. It's just bizarre. So I went back and things were actually good. He wasn't drinking and we were being a family. We had moments, of course, but for the most part, it was football season. He loved football. Huge fan of the San Diego Chargers. He had weird football stuff, like if you were wearing a scrunchie in the third quarter and they missed the kick, then you had to not wear a scrunchie in the third quarter next time. And if he were standing outside smoking a cigarette, watching the game when they made the extra point, then he had to be doing that when they were going for some extra point. A lot of superstitious stuff. It was honestly kind of fun. It was weird, but fun. And It was okay. I mean, it wasn't like every moment was terrible, obviously, you know? You lived for the good moments, but you didn't even realize you were doing that. I mean, you just lived life. And that is what we're going to end on today.
You've been listening to a Wildflower Rooted and Reckless podcast production with Angela Walker. Catch Wildflower drops on Tuesdays, Rooted on Wednesdays, and Reckless on Thursdays. Subscribe wherever you listen. Stay wild, stay rooted, stay reckless.